God's plan for you. But let me tell you something that most people will never understand. God knows exactly what He's doing. You don't have what you want right now because you're not ready for it. I know that's hard to hear if your ego doesn't want to accept it. You want to believe that you're already built for success, that you deserve it right now, but that's the difference between winners and losers. Winners understand that the process is the test. The struggle isn't a punishment, it's preparation. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone win the lottery and go broke in a year? Have you ever watched these young guys make quick money in crypto flex for a few months and then disappear? You know why that happens? Because they got success before they were ready. They never built the character, the discipline, or the resilience to keep it easy come easy go, and God is never going to put you in a position where your blessings become your curse. Why you're still struggling, that's why you haven't hit your big break yet, because if He gave it to you now, you'd fumble it. Look at your life. If you suddenly had millions in your account today, would you even know what to do with it? You think you would, but you wouldn't. You'd make the wrong moves, trust the wrong people, blow money on nonsense, and within a year you'd be worse off than before. That's why God is making you wait. That's why He's putting you through trials, because you need to be strong enough to handle what's coming. You ever wonder why great warriors go through the harshest training? Why soldiers are put through hell before they're sent into battle? Because without the suffering they wouldn't be ready. Without the discipline they'd break under pressure. You're in training right now, and every setback, every challenge, every moment where you feel stuck, it's part of God's way of sharpening you into the man you need. But most people, they fail the test, they give up too soon, they start questioning God. They start whining about why me instead of embracing the process. They reject it, and that's why they stay stuck. That's why most people never achieve greatness, because they don't have the patience or the faith to trust God's timing. You need to wake up and realize something. If you don't already have it, you need to wake up and recognize that you're still being constructed. And if you give up now, you'll miss out on both the blessing and the transformation that comes with it. Because being able to manage money, power, and position is more important for success than simply possessing them. The procedure is harsh. It will tear you apart, remove your weaknesses, and make you confront all of your limitations, insecurities, and flaws. And that's precisely why you need it, because you'll emerge from it not just successful, but unstoppable. But only if you persevere. They want shortcuts. They want to wake up one day and have everything fall into place without years of work, discipline, and sacrifice. But that's not how God works. You see, most people want results now. He does not bestow blessings on those who are not prepared. He rewards people who trust the process, put in the effort, and demonstrate that they can bear the responsibility of accomplishment rather than those who are impatient. Do you truly believe that you are prepared for all of your requests? Are you merely pursuing the dream of success without putting in the actual effort needed to maintain it? Or do you genuinely think you've done everything you need to hang on to what you want? The truth is that the delay is a preparation rather than a denial, and the waiting is a necessary component of the strategy. God is not keeping you back. Rather, He is preparing you and testing your forbearance, faith, and fortitude. He's trying to determine whether you're the type of person who gives up when things become difficult, or if you persevere even when it appears like the odds are stacked against you. And that's when the majority of people fail. After encountering a few roadblocks, they believe the dream is over. They abandon up just before the breakthrough because they tell themselves that they are cut out for success. Just before everything came together. Just before the door was about to be opened by God. The devil is playing tricks on you. Fear is whispering in your ear, encouraging you to give up and settle down, and most people listen. They allow doubt to triumph, but not you. This time, you will trust the process, persevere, and believe that every adversity, setback, and agonizing moment is guiding you in the exact direction you were intended to go, because if you can't handle the struggle, you don't deserve the success. You will never get to your destination if you are unable to accept the process. And believe me, you'll see why the wait was required when you eventually arrive. You'll reflect on all of the difficulties, frustrations, and times when you felt stuck. And you'll see that God was always aware of what He was doing. The only question is whether you have the strength to believe Him, because everything changes the instant you do, the moment you give it your all, the moment you quit doubting and begin to embrace the process. Have you ever considered the possibility that everything you are going through at the moment is precisely what you need? What if all of the hardship, the hold-up, the frustration, all of it is a part of God's plan to make you unstoppable, but instead of believing in Him, instead of accepting the challenge, you're wondering why I'm doing it? Let me tell you something. The moment you begin to doubt the process, you are losing. You allow fear to take over. You begin to believe that perhaps you are not destined for success or that you are wasting your time, but that is the biggest lie of all. God is not punishing you, rather, He is testing your patience, fortitude, and discipline because, let me tell you, weak men don't prevail. They disintegrate when things get difficult. They take short ways. Try to avoid the process in an attempt to make quick cash, and guess what happens? They collapse and are exposed. They are humbled. It happens all the time. A guy gets lucky, makes some quick cash, and within a year, he's broke. He believed he was ready and had everything worked out, but God showed him quickly. What you haven't earned is not yours to retain. And for that reason, the procedure is in place. God is causing you to struggle because He wants you to maintain your success when the time comes, not merely touch it. However, the majority lack patience and desire of the prize without the effort and the victory without the struggle. However, let me tell you something, there is no shortcut to greatness. Since success is about having the strength to sustain it rather than merely achieving it, aiming for it too soon will break you. You're still struggling, but it's because you're being prepared, not because you're being refused. You don't deserve it in the first place if you give up right away, if you cry and give up because it's taking longer than you expected. Listen to me, every minute of adversity makes you a better person. The difficulties are a gift, and the burden is a blessing. God is watching you to make sure you are truly ready. When no one else is around, will you keep up your hard work? Will you continue to remain disciplined when nothing seems to be happening? Will you still believe in yourself when everything around you tells you to give up? That's the test that separates the strong from the weak. As opposed to those who give up easily, those who believe in the process. And trust me when I say that the moment you decide to stop questioning, to stop fighting, and to start embracing the struggle, everything changes. Because it is in the midst of difficulty that champions are made. Think of a warrior who trains, builds up his strength, sharpens his mind, and learns how to battle, rather than merely taking up a sword and hoping to win. To prevent dying in battle, he bleeds during training and puts up with the discomfort, discipline, and exhaustion. You are currently on your training ground, which is this process you are going through. Every one of your failures, losses, and depressing situations is setting you up for the day when God says, now you're ready. But you know what? If you give up now and abandon the process that was meant to help you become the man you need to be, you forfeit the blessing. And you don't want to be that person who passes away, looks back, and finds that he gave up too soon because he let his impatience, worries, and uncertainties prevent him from achieving the destiny that God had planned for him. The worst regret of all is realizing that you had the chance to enter the door, but were too frail to do so. But you won't let that happen. You'll trust the process, stop questioning God's timing, and start working like a man who knows that success is inevitable when you wake up tomorrow. Because faith is knowing, without a doubt, that whatever you're doing now is bringing you precisely to where you need to be. And when you eventually arrive, everything will make sense when you reflect on all of your hardships and see that everything happened for a reason. You'll understand why the wait was necessary, because success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become along the way. So let me ask you, are you ready to trust God's plan, or are you going to let doubt rob you of your future? Because the ones who make it, they don't question the process, they embrace it. You ever wonder why God doesn't just hand you success the moment you ask for it? Why does He make you fight for it? Why every step forward feels like you're being tested, pushed, and broken down? Let me tell you why. Because God doesn't want you weak. He doesn't want you soft. He doesn't want you to get to the top only to crumble the moment pressure hits. See, weak men think success is just about having money, fame, power, but strong men, they understand that success is about transformation. It's about becoming the kind of man who can carry the weight of responsibility, leadership, and discipline without folding. And the only way to become that man? The process. The process is what separates the winners from the losers. The process is what weeds out the men who say they want it but aren't willing to bleed for it. Because here's the truth. You can't fake greatness. You either put in the work and become the man who deserves success, or you stay in the same cycle of mediocrity for the rest of your life. And let me tell you something about God. He doesn't make mistakes. If He hasn't given it to you yet, there's a reason. You still have lessons to learn. You still have weaknesses to kill off. You still have discipline to build. But most of you don't want to hear that. You don't want to be told that you're the problem. You'd rather blame bad luck, your circumstances, or some nonsense excuse to make yourself feel better. But guess what? None of that changes reality. Reality is that if you are not winning, it's because you are not ready to win, and instead of complaining about that, You should be grateful, because when God makes you wait, when he makes you struggle, it's because he's making you strong enough to never lose again. But most people don't see it that way. They lament the unfairness of life and question why it is happening to them rather than asking what God is trying to teach them. This mentality shift is what makes all the difference. Because the goal of the process is to gain wisdom rather than just success or money. Experience, the battle of surviving a fire and emerging stronger, is the only source of wisdom. People who are given everything tend to end up broken. Have you ever noticed? Sportsmen who lose everything. Overdosing celebrities. Millionaires who never learn how to manage their wealth end up losing everything. Do you believe that to be a coincidence? They didn't skip the hardship because they didn't go through it, and they didn't learn how to hang on to what they had as a result. God is keeping you safe from that. When success arrives, he's making sure it lasts. He's making sure you don't mess up when he finally bestows his blessing. And it's okay if he has to keep you in the fight for a little while longer. Because this is where most people fail, and God is more concerned with your strength than your comfort. At this point, the majority of people give up not because they lack ability or potential, but rather because they don't trust the process. Most people lose just before they win, so let me tell you something. You know how many times I've witnessed men give up at the last minute, just because their breakthrough didn't happen quickly enough, or when they were just 1 month or year away from achievement. They turned away from the one thing that God was about to give them, folded, and lost confidence. Avoid becoming that person. Don't be the person who lets uncertainty ruin his future, or who lets annoyance force him to give up on something that was rightfully his. Because, believe me, God does not guarantee an easy path, but he does promise that you will succeed if you persevere. The only thing to consider is whether you'll persevere when it seems like nothing is working. When no one is looking, are you prepared to maintain your discipline? Are you prepared to believe that every hardship, every failure, and every agonizing moment is a necessary part of God's plan to mold you into a man who can manage success when it comes? Because if you are, if you don't break, if you don't let the process scare you, then you are on, and that's exactly what God wants you to be. Now, what will it be? Will you be another guy who quits, makes excuses, and lets his emotions control him? Or will you rise above the doubt, trust the process, and walk into the future that God has already prepared for you? The decision is yours, and this is where the weak fall, the strong rise, and God sees what you're truly made of. At this very moment, you must decide whether you will trust God's plan for you, or you will allow fear, doubt, and impatience rob your future because of this. God wants you to have faith in the process, not to understand it. You believe that the pain is needless, that the battle is unfair, and that you have been waiting for too long. God is fully aware of his actions. He is aware of the struggles you must endure in order to develop into the person you were destined to be. He is aware of the things you must learn. He knows just when to give you what you've been praying for, and he knows what weaknesses need to be burned out of you. You and your doubt are the only things preventing you from succeeding. Your lack of patience. You can't understand that the delay is a good thing rather than a bad thing. You keep asking yourself, why isn't this happening yet? Is a moment you could use to develop into the man who is prepared for it. When you consider this, would you really be able to manage success if it were offered to you right now? Could you handle the responsibilities, discipline, and ongoing pressure that come with it? The majority of people believe they are prepared, but they are not. God makes you wait because they lack even the ability to regulate their own emotions, discipline, or habits. He does this to make sure you don't crumble under the weight of success when it arrives. Why did God take so long to elevate some of the greatest men in history? Have you ever wondered? Before Moses was prepared to lead, he lived in the wilderness for 40 years. Even David, a king anointed as a youngster, had to endure years of hardship before he ever sat on the throne. Joseph was enslaved and imprisoned before he was appointed second in charge of Egypt. Why? Since God never places unprepared people in positions of authority, and if you are still waiting and fighting, God is still preparing you. The only way you lose is if you give up too soon and allow irritation to lead you to believe that if you allow your feelings to drive you away from something that is already yours, you simply haven't matured into it yet. The process isn't functioning. Your ability to handle waiting for success is the true test, not your ability to handle success itself. Do you have the strength to continue working even when it seems like nothing is happening? Do you have the self-control to maintain your concentration when doubt is yelling in your ear? When you can't see the finish line, are you loyal enough to keep going? Let me repeat this one last time. God knows best if you can accomplish that and trust the process even when it seems like everything is against you.